Hey, what's up? This is Benji Bruce from SpeakingLifestyle.com, and this time we're going to talk about how to get started as a speaker. So, really, how do you get started as a speaker? How do you start your speaking business? I mean, you want to build a speaking business, you want to speak on stages, but you have no idea where you should start. So, where should you start? Well, most people, they might read a book or two, or maybe they attend a conference to meet with other speakers, but I'm going to tell you a different way to start that gets you more focused, because I'm a true believer in focus. So I started personally as an entertainer, so I was getting gigs by doing mind reading shows, and that turned into speaking. But I kind of thought, like, what would I do if I had to start from scratch? Like, if I had no website, no footage, no clients, pretty much nothing, how would I start my speaking career from scratch? Well, first, I would actually prepare. So, first thing, I would figure out, what outcome do I want? Like, what do I want in the end? Do I want to do more seminar style gigs like speaking, or do I want to do corporate? Because depending on which one you decide, it's going to let you know what actions you should take. So first thing, I would figure out, do I want to sell products on stage, be that type of speaker, or do I want to be like a corporate keynote where they're paying me several grand per presentation? So that's the first thing I would decide. Then I would do my research. So let's say we decide corporate, which is what I do. I would figure out, okay, what do they hire already? Like, who are they paying for? What topics are these guys actually speaking on? What type of speakers do they hire already? I would look to see, oh, they hire a lot of motivational speakers. They hire a lot of sales and marketing speakers, leadership speakers. So I would look for those things. Then I would figure out the believability factor. I would ask myself, okay, what will people believe that I'm good at? There's a difference between what I'm actually good at and what people will believe that I'm good at. So for example, like, because I do mind reading shows, I get on stage and I can demonstrate body language techniques and all this really cool stuff. And so people will believe certain things based on that, based on what I can demonstrate. So I would figure out, okay, what would they believe? What would make sense if I'm a speaker and I'm talking about a certain subject? Then I would figure out, okay, what type of knowledge do I have? So what do I already know about? So maybe I know about marketing, maybe I know about sales, maybe I know about leadership, things like that. And this, you kind of have to figure out, do they match? Does your knowledge match with what people will believe? Because let's say you're 15 years old and you want to speak on leadership. Well, most people are going to say, what the heck can a 15-year-old kid teach us about leadership? Now, if on the other hand, this 15-year-old kid is running a billion-dollar company, well, now they're going to say, okay, well, yeah, it's definitely very believable. He must be a good leader if he's running a billion-dollar company. So I would figure out, okay, what do I know? Then I would figure out, okay, what proof do I have? So I would combine what I know with the believability factor, and I would figure out, what proof do I have? So if I'm talking about leadership and I have a billion-dollar company, well, the proof is I have a billion-dollar company. It's like if you're going to hire a fitness trainer, well, what proof do you have that the fitness trainer is good? If the fitness trainer has a six-pack and he's all swollen stuff, well, now you're going to say, okay, well, that's the proof that I need. So you have to figure out, what proof do you have that people are going to see your knowledge actually works, because there's a difference between what you know and what you can prove. So you want to make sure you can prove what you know and make sure people believe it. That's the very first thing you have to do if you want to get started. Then after that, I would focus on building skills. So there are three main skills that I would focus on. Number one is copywriting. And if you don't know about copywriting, copywriting is basically persuasion on paper. It's when you write things, whether it's online or actually on paper, it's basically writing in a way that persuades people to do something, to take action. So I would really focus on copywriting. That's a skill that I would build up. The other skill I would build up is actually sales and marketing. So mainly sales, actually. But basically, sales is really persuasion in person, because as a speaker, you're going to be talking on stage, you're going to be talking to a lot of people, maybe over the phone, things like that. So you have to be really good at persuading in general, whether you're writing, which is copywriting, or whether you're talking, which is sales. So those are two skills. The third skill is the actual presentation itself. You have to be insanely great on stage. I mean, you have to be a showstopper. You have to be so good that people can't help but notice. So I would focus on creating good presentations, learning how to frame, how to tell stories, how to create energy in a room, how to close, things like that. I would focus on a presentation in general. Those are the three skills that I would focus on building while I'm actually building the speaking business. Then once I've been doing those things, I would actually look for events. And before I actually have a presentation, like I wouldn't create my presentation, because a lot of speakers get caught up in trying to create that presentation to begin with. They're like, okay, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. Let me try to create this presentation. And they spend like 5 months trying to create a speech when they're actually not even on a stage in order to deliver this presentation. So I would actually go out and I would look for ways to present before I actually make my presentation. So that way I don't get caught up in making it perfect, and it forces you, when you do get the first speaking gig, which will probably be for free, but when you do get the first one, it forces you to write a really good presentation really quick, because okay, you're going to be on stage in a month, so you have to write it real quick and you have to really practice real quick, and then you can just like be in an intense focus mode. So what I would do is I would look for events, go on like meetup.com or wherever. I would look for opportunities to speak anywhere, and I would figure out, okay, can I speak? I'd ask the person in charge. As soon as they say yes, then I would basically create the presentation after they say yes and let me know when the date is. It's what you're basically doing is, it's almost like you're asking people what they want to buy and then you give it to them, rather than creating something and trying to get people to buy it. So if 100 people say, hey, I want to buy this product, and you say, oh, cool, I have the product, then all 100 of them are going to buy. But if you say, hey, I have a product, and then you go to 100 people and they say, you know what, I didn't want that to begin with, well, now you're kind of screwed. So that's what happens with presentations, and that's what I would do with the presentation. I would go out looking for events, then I would say, okay, I'm a great motivational speaker, and then I'd get on stage, and once they said, yeah, it's a month away from now, then I would create the presentation. And once I got a gig, any type of speaking gig, I would get the gig, then I'd prepare the presentation, and I would make sure I record it, and not record just so I can kind of tweak my presentation. I would record it to get social proof, because the social proof is what's really going to matter in the long run. And I'll repeat this for another gig. So I would get at least like 2 or 3 gigs. Once I had the social proof, once I had like the video footage and the pictures, then I would start to build my image. I would start to create the website. So I would add a ton of social proof to the website, and then I would really repeat the process over and over again. I'd make sure I'd get publicity. I'd figure out some creative way to get publicity. In my case, since I can do like mind reading demonstrations, I would use that to my advantage. If I was like a singer, then I would use that to my advantage. But in some way, I would figure out a way to get publicity. And once I have all that, then I'd put all that on the website. Once the website was pretty good, I would start charging. And I would charge as soon as possible, and I would test my prices. So maybe one person that I talked to about the event, I would quote them one price, and then the next person I'd quote them a higher price. And I would kind of see, okay, how do people respond to me? I mean, just remember, you're starting out, you don't have like a great website just yet. I would figure out, okay, how are people responding to me? Is there resistance at this lower price? Is there resistance at the higher price? And I would figure that out. And throughout all this, I would actually subscribe to Scribd. That's SCRIBD.com. and I would read at least 4 marketing books a month, because the whole point of that is to really just get your mind in the right place, to make sure you have this business mindset going. And of course, I would join speakinglifestyle.com, a little shameless plug there, but basically, I would make sure while I'm doing all this, I'd make sure I'd be reading like at least 4 books a month. And then I'd really focus on time management. So there's a difference between busy work and productive work. Productive work basically gets you on stages. Busy work is everything else. So I would really focus on being productive. And that's pretty much how I would start my speaking from scratch. That's pretty much a starter's guide to speaking. And if you want a ton of more speaker information, go to speakinglifestyle.com. And if you like this, then make sure you share it with other speakers. And like I said, go get some free training at speakinglifestyle.com, and stay tuned for more.